Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Dave.
And join us every Thursday for a new episode of Two Player Bros, a podcast about two guys who play way too many video games. Join me and Dave as we talk about the latest in Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and VR news, previews, and reviews. We have it all, and we play it all.
And join us every other week for Post Game, where we play through and dive deep into our favorite modern classics and new releases.
That's Two Player Bros, available every Thursday wherever you get your podcast, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hey, it's Andrew Morgan, host of the Nomcast, the Netflix original movie podcast. Each week we preview and review the biggest Netflix original movies with special guests from the film industry, the music industry, comedians, and of course our fellow critics and podcasters. The Nomcast is available on nomcastpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts, on the socials at nomcastpod, and is a part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hello there, I'm Colleen.
I'm Anders.
And I'm Daniel.
We're three nerds who met through our love of science fiction and fantasy storytelling. Of course, one of our favorites is George Lucas's signature achievement, Star Wars.
And if there's one thing the internet definitely doesn't have enough of, it's nerds talking about Star Wars. So here we are with yet another Star Wars podcast, where every week we journey to a galaxy far, far away to discuss one of the films in the current Star Wars canon.
We'll talk about how our relationship with the film has changed over time, how the film builds on what came before it and forms our understanding of the Force. Finally, we'll provide you with some recommendations for other material you may enjoy if you love these movies. And this week, we welcome back Bohemian Geeks Studies Queen of the Queries, Sara O'Connor. Sara, welcome back.
Thrilled to be here, guys, to talk about one of the greatest, if not maybe the greatest Star Wars movie.
Yes.
Absolutely. This week, we are diving into Disney's first outing with a non-Skywalker Star Wars film. We're talking about Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So, guys, how high are the odds that Sarah's going to shoot us with that blaster?
Oh, definitely high.
Why does she get a gun and I don't?
All I have to say is let's get going to the good stuff before I whip out the blaster.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get right into it. This movie was released on December 16th, 2016. A little bit of an infamous production, I'll say. The first of several in the Disney Star Wars era. It was originally written specifically by Chris Weitz and directed by Gareth Edwards. However, towards the end of production, Tony Gilroy was added as a second unit director to oversee about 5 weeks worth of reshoots and additional scenes, which ultimately resulted in him getting a writing credit as well.
Wow.
There's a couple of very, I want to say, famous/infamous shots from the trailers that didn't make it into the final film as a result of all of this.
Yeah.
Probably one of Jin's most famous lines, "I'm a rebel, I rebel." But you know what? It actually all pretty much worked out. On a budget of about $250 million, it grossed $532.2 million US and $523.8 million overseas in a total box office gross of $1.056 billion with a B dollars. Now, guys, this is right. So we had Force Awakens, which grossed $2 billion globally, and this one, which grossed over $1 billion. I mean, Disney's making that money back from that $4 billion purchase pretty quick. Obviously, not all of that is profit, but
Right. But at least
you
they're
also
seeing
think about all the
returns.
toys and all the other things that they've got at the same time. Oh my gosh.
right. And I'm pretty sure they had 2016, so Rebels is going at this point as well.
Yep.
So they're getting all the ad revenue from that, making that Star
Yeah,
Wars
good
money.
return on investment.
Yeah. Smart
Definitely.
choice.
But let's get into our reactions, our discussion on this movie. Do you guys remember where you were, what it was like the first time you saw it? It has only been about 4 or 5 years. Has your relationship with this movie changed over time? Do you like it more? Do you like it less? What do you think?
I love this movie. I think my relationship with it has gotten better over time. I really, really enjoy it now. It's just climbed the ranks over the years and is solidly at 2 or 3, depending on my mood. Back when it first came out, I had recently come home from my year studying abroad, and Trump had just somehow been elected. So I was feeling all kinds of ways, not in a super great place when this movie came out.
I think I disconnected that event from this movie in my mind. So thank you for reconnecting it.
You're welcome. Well, this was a nice bright spot that we got around Christmas time. Was like, okay, so it's Christmas time. We get a Star Wars movie. This is wonderful. Was a little trepidatious going in just because it wasn't a saga movie and from all the stuff that was going on with the production and the rumors and things. But it was fantastic. I was like, this is great. I mean, everything's cool. What a way to lift our spirits in a Star Wars movie where everyone dies.
Oh man.
Oh wait. We love you all. It's so visually stunning, great set pieces, one of the best casts, I think, in any Star Wars movie, including like the original trilogy. This is just an amazing cast. The hype and concern when the movie came out it worried me a bit, but still, the movie's nearly perfect. There are things they could have done, I suppose, but no, I'll rewatch it over and over and over again.
Yeah, I'm feeling very similar. I adore this movie. I was so excited in the lead up. So like my brother and I we were so ready to see this movie. I was living in Maryland that year, and so like we'd been looking forward to it all year. We'd been living together, been hyping it up, and when we went and saw it, like I think we went like right on opening night. It was amazing. Like it blew us out of the water. We left stunned, and we talked about it like all night. It was so fun. Like there might be a little bit of pacing issues in the front half, but I mean, that doesn't really matter to me. This movie is fun. I adore it. And yeah, I saw it so many times in theaters, so worth it.
Yeah, I remember being in the theater for this. I went with a work friend of mine. We like got out of work that night, went opening night, and we were just absolutely thrilled by the end. And we were buzzing, and we were just like, holy shit. Like, I know, we've talked about the many war crimes that take place over the course of these Star Wars movies, but this was the first one that felt like it kind of shoved you in the face of,
Oh, for sure.
This is a war. And like on a personal level, this is a fucking war saga. And I wasn't sure what to make of all the rumors and everything that were like flying around of the behind the scenes drama. This was probably right at the time that I even started paying attention to like internet rumors and stuff like that. I just didn't care or wasn't invested enough in a lot of things. And I knew that this was going to kind of be our gateway into other Star Wars stories beyond the Skywalker. So I was so hyped for this movie to come out.
And then for me, I just remember being tipsy in the movie theater the first night that it came out, and I was absolutely blown away by this movie. It was absolutely fantastic. It answered one of the oldest questions of the movie, which I thought was so flippin' important. And it just made it all seem so much more realistic. As Anders said, it felt more, I don't want to say like a documentary because that's not the right word for it, but you felt in it in a different way from the classic saga movies, in my opinion.
Way more visceral. Like
yes.
In the action, which was really cool.
Yeah, because we get to see it from the perspective of like actual ground troops in a war instead of, the high command heroes and things like that. And so
or pilots.
We get to see it down in the trenches for the first time. So yeah, that was definitely a talking point. My brother and I went over. We were so in love with that.
Without too much of a need for like handheld shaky cams as we're running along.
Yes.
I was gonna say probably the closest that you get the feel of that is when Finn is dealing with his diaspora from the Empire and trying to leave, and you're in the ship with them. We get the first look at the stormtrooper perspective. That's maybe the closest. Rogue One just does it phenomenally.
It really does. And Sarah, I would like to point out, so you remember being tipsy in the theater, but unlike Daniel with Rise of Skywalker, when you sobered up, the movie was still good.
Yes. Yeah.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, Daniel was wasted when he watched Rise of Skywalker.
I was very drunk for that. It was a good time.
Oh, God. Guys, check out our Rise of Skywalker episode if you haven't already. All right, moving
Oh, man.
into some of our favorite individual pieces from this movie, starting with our favorite ships. And I feel like I'm always the one who brings them up, guys. I love these Imperial shuttles. I don't know why.
Yes.
The folding wings, everything about them is just really cool. And Krennic's, which kind of
Krennic!
opens the movie,
Love it.
Director Krennic,
He's so
His-
amazing.
his Delta class T3C shuttle that kind of opens the movie. It's got a much smaller kind of cabin area and the wings are just a little bit bigger. I just thought it looked so cool. And then the stolen one that they have, the Zeta class heavy cargo shuttle that has the 4 wings as it's going down. It's almost like a landing platform on top of it. I just thought that looked so freaking cool.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, those are so neat. So I need to bring up a Rebel dropship, the U-wing. So that is Cassian and K2's ship. It is used by the Rebels as a troop dropship. It can also provide air support, which we see in the Battle of Scariff when it takes down an AT-AT.
I love this ship. In the Alphabet Squadron books, Kairos, one of the titular Alphabet Squadron pilots, has this ship. And she's
Nice.
such a badass. And this ship just like maneuverability is really cool. At least how she does it. It's like, dang girl.
I always think of that with that ship. I was a swimmer, and so the way the wings kind of fold up and back, I just think about like the butterfly stroke, trying to get
Yeah.
your shoulders to move. One that's not actually a ship, but I just think it looks so freaking cool and was a really cool concept, is that shield gate over Scariff. First of all, the planetary shield in general that seems to be generating from this thing and not from like a dish down on the planet. And it's got that gate that can kind of drop its things in to open and close. So cool when the ships are kind of crashing against it, and eventually the Star Destroyer just goes right through it.
Yes. I wonder if the code to open it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Colleen, don't give out my luggage combination.
The Mega Maid is coming. Just kidding. It's another Death Star. Oh man. So my favorite is the Profundity. This is Admiral Raddus's MC-75 Star Cruiser. It's such a badass ship, you guys. I love it. And the Admiral was totally ready to do whatever it took to get those Death Star plans. So shouts to him as well. I
Is
love
that the
this
same
ship.
model as Home One?
I think so. Home One might be a little bit farther along because I think,
Okay.
yeah, I'd have to relook at that. But it's a Mon Calamari cruiser.
Heck yeah, I love those cruisers.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have the Hammerhead cruisers. So these are a personal favorite of mine. They're from the Old Republic era. So, of course, I have to shout out KOTOR any chance I can. So they were brought into canon here, and then they also show up in Rebels as well. So it was neat seeing them in live action for the first time. And also, while we're on the topic of ships, Baze and
Chirrut.
Baze and Chirrut?
Oh, I bring this up later.
Okay, good. I was like, how do we feel on this? So I can't wait to talk about this later.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, they definitely are.
We're going to talk about it later.
Okay. I'm glad we're on the same page.
All right, we're going to move into our favorite aliens and droids. And I want to start off with those SC2 worker droids. These are the farmer droids in the opening sequence.
Yeah.
I just feel like they have such a classic sci-fi look. They almost look like a security camera head. Very, not quite like Mr. Roboto, but just like a very solid standard sci-fi droid. And I just think that they look really cool.
Well, next up is K2SO, and I can't pronounce Alan's last name. Can someone help me out there?
Tudyk.
Thank you, Alan Tudyk. And frankly, this kind of skips ahead to one of our later segments, but K2 is one of my absolute untouchables.
Hell yeah.
An absolute badass droid who makes you feel for him, but also makes you feel as though he could protect the shit out of you. Like he's just this force to be reckoned with and just hilarious as all get out. In some ways, he's even better than Chopper because Chopper would want to kill you and K2SO might be willing to protect you. So I'll go out on a limb. I don't know if K2 constitutes my favorite droid, but rewatching Rogue One really put him back up in the ranks as my possible number one. I really did not want him to die because I could watch him again and again.
Absolutely. K2 is pitch perfect.
Yeah.
And
The just
casting Alan Tudyk is such a Fait accompli. Well done.
Also,
Disney.
he looks incredible. He looks like
Yeah.
a solid. He looks like a prop.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
you don't realize that you don't see that is Alan Tudyk in like a motion capture suit.
So we go from the amazing K2SO to the disgusting, creepy, crawly Borgullet. It is a Marin, so it can read thoughts. It was 2.5 tons of silicone to make this guy.
Wow.
It is a full-size 10 6x6 puppet operated by 15 different puppeteers. So good job, guys. You really brought to life this disgusting creature.
Seriously.
I will say though, it is now my headcanon after going through these movies with you guys and learning everything we've learned about these little side aliens. It is now my headcanon that this guy was actually like a prisoner forced to do all this stuff against his will. And then I find out, then I really realized that he died, and it made me really sad.
Poor little buddy. Yeah, no. It's like feeling bad for the earworms from Star Trek. No.
You don't know
Yes.
you don't know what they had to do. You don't know. We don't know. If the trash monster if the trash monster of the Death Star has a name, it is a force
Oh, me.
being.
Sorry, Daniel.
I love her.
Shouts to you.
I love her.
Argo.
I do not love Borgullet.
Yeah, Borgullet's a little bit creepier. But yes,
little bit more
he
sinister.
could have a story. He could be like,
I mean,
I
if he
don't
could
wanna
read,
do this,
if he's
guys.
telepathic, he's got to be force sensitive in some way.
Yeah, you would think so. I don't know if he's sentient, but some sort of force sensitivity for sure. Next, we've got my main dude, Admiral Raddus. I fucking love this guy. He's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
He's the original Mon Calamari badass. Akbar was supposed to be in this movie, but I love that they went with an original new character instead. He seems older and more gruff than Akbar, and I think he ranks above him slightly, so it makes more sense that he would be with the rebellion at this point. And then Akbar comes in after Raddus is killed. I love his blue coloring. He's so pretty. He's so much more pretty than all the other Mon Calamari. I love it. And he's just so dedicated and so willing to be like, oh, one ship left. We're out, guys. We're following them. Like, yes, props to the Mon Calamari.
Heck yeah,
props
Raddus.
Props to him for trapping those Star Destroyers.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Do not mess with the Mon Calamari. Seriously, it's one of the worst mistakes the Empire made.
Mhm. So we also have Benthic. So that is the tan alien. He's got the two tubes attached to the breather mask. I just think his design is so neat. So there's him and his brother Edrio, and they're the Tognath species. So while this is their first time we see them on screen in Star Wars, we will actually see them again in Solo, where they'll be with Enfys Nest's gang.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Are these guys the ones with Saw, right?
Yeah, there was
Saw's
Yeah.
buddies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw an Ugnaught in there at some point. Always willing to
Yes.
shout out an Ugnaught. There were so many cool aliens. There were too many to name while I was watching this movie and trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Some
Tons.
notes. All right. Well, before we get into our next segment, we'd like to take a second to tell you all about this week's sponsor, Bruche. Bruche is an electric toothbrush that will change the way you think about brushing your teeth. With powerful sonic technology and ultra gentle bristles, the Bruche redefines what it means to have super clean teeth. It's like that feeling when you just leave the dentist. I actually just got my teeth cleaned like last week, and you're just like feeling that slick, clean feeling in your mouth the entire thing. A fresh, whole mouth clean every single day. Our listeners get 15% off their total purchase with code POD15. That's POD15. Follow the link in the show notes and enter the code POD15 to get your exclusive discount and upgrade your oral care routine.
We'd also like to tell you about our new partnership with Fiverr. Do you need a freelancer to help design your new website? Or maybe you need someone to help write expert articles and blogs for it? Or an expert presentation designer to help with that big work project? Look no further than the #1 freelance marketplace, Fiverr. You can find designers, programmers, and more within seconds, some for as low as $5 per gig. Fiverr is the ideal tool to help you with pressing projects. Just post your gig or search for freelancers and you're off. Don't deal with the hassle of finding freelancers by yourself. Let Fiverr help you. See the link in the show notes to get started. Please note, Yet Another Star Wars Podcast is an affiliate partner of Fiverr. We may receive commissions on purchases and services you buy after you click the link. These commissions help support the growth of Yet Another Star Wars Podcast, and we appreciate your continued support.
All right, so let's move into our Untouchables and Unbearables. What is absolutely perfect in this movie? Hint, the whole movie. And what just doesn't quite work. I want to kick us off with a couple of my Untouchables, and I'm going to start actually. Daniel, you mentioned you think there might be some pacing issues at the beginning, but I think this is one of my absolute Untouchables is the editing in this movie, particularly in that beginning sequence. They cram a ton into the first 20, 30 minutes. We are going to all different locations. We're meeting all different types of characters. Different plot points are getting set into motion or continuing, and they seem to make it pretty seamless. It had a lot of potential to feel really, really choppy. But for me, it just absolutely keeps moving, and we just keep running. Also, the fact that they edited in those pilots from the original film.
Yes.
So that we get kind of just that continuity in there. RIP to Luke's Red 5 predecessor.
Yeah.
And then I also want to talk about the first scene with Tarkin, because this was a pretty big gamble that they took. To
Insane.
put in a CGI recreation of Peter Cushing to act in the movie and try and pass him off as an actor on set. And especially that first scene, it works.
It works so well.
It is. There are very few seams showing up. For me, it's not really until his very last scene that I kind of start to really see the seams. Like if they had used them about 20 seconds less total in the film, it would have just been perfect. But I got to give it props. And again, they do it with Leia as well in that last shot. I think there were a lot of people who didn't like the way Leia looked. They were like, "Oh, she looks so frozen," or duh, duh, duh. I think she looks phenomenal. I think her skin.
Thought she looked great.
Yeah,
I think her skin might actually even look better than Tarkin's, and the fact that she's an all white and very bright, like CGI tends to work very well when it's in the dark, and she's in the absolute full light. Absolutely incredible. The fact that Jin and Cassian never kiss. This is an absolutely brilliant decision.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I agree.
Gareth Edwards, J.J. Abrams, Ryan Johnson. Take notes. You don't have to force a kiss in out of absolutely nowhere. Two people can have a strong emotional bond of mutual respect and not have to bone each other.
But
even if they want to.
But on the opposite flip side of that coin, you know what, Star Wars? Don't shy away from sex. You got some sexy people, and I'm sick of not seeing that sweet sex on the screen. What are you doing?
I agree, Sarah. You know I agree.
Okay,
they felt very sexually there's sexual chemistry there, which was lovely to see. I was like, ooh. But you're gonna
that
die.
elevator, the elevator when they're going down to the beach, they're giving each other the eyes.
They are. I feel like that actually might have been a point where they had a kiss and it got edited out. They absolutely looked like they were leaning in there. But I love the fact that we don't, especially like I said, we talked about the Rose and Finn, we talked about Raylo and how it just felt unnecessary in those moments. It wasn't necessary here. And so they just didn't do it.
I think they left it ambiguous enough that if you want to believe that there was something there, you can. And then if you didn't need it, then it didn't happen.
Exactly.
I think they played that line very well.
And then lastly, I just got to call out the visual effects in this movie. They are absolutely incredible. Everything looks real, like you could really reach out and touch it. When the two Star Destroyers are colliding, and I did chuckle to myself the first time I saw it. It kind of looks like the one that's getting torn apart is made out of Legos. And it's like splitting apart. But it looks so good. I'm pretty sure when they were at the Rebel base on Yavin, they actually took a note from the original A New Hope, and they used like some giant cardboard cutouts for some of the background X-Wings. Again, just to provide some of that visual continuity between the two. And gotta call out the planets. I want a vacation on Scariff. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Stunning.
It especially because the whole planet wasn't destroyed, just that one installation. So I gotta believe that there's some really, really nice beaches left on the rest of the planet. And I want to go there.
It doesn't ruin the atmosphere. That's the
Yeah.
one
Fingers
thing.
crossed.
It's like,
I always thought that like the Citadel Tower would make like really nice for a main resort, and then you go out on all the little tracks to the landing pads, and there's the bungalows over the water.
Yes.
Oh
Bring your
my
space
gosh.
yacht. Bring your boat that turns into a ship.
Absolutely, yes. We'll come straight from Canto Bight. It's amazing. It'll work. For Unbearables, this one's relatively small, but I always felt like that confrontation between Jin and Cassian after her father dies, that is where I think it's probably the editing starts to feel a little clunky to me. Like there's something missing from that conversation. I don't know if I want one or the other of them to be just more explicit about what they're fighting about. They're kind of still dancing around it, and then I'm not sure what it is. But again, that could also just be me grasping at straws for an Unbearable, because this movie is pretty damn close to perfect.
You're like, Unbearables, where are they? I know I can find one.
Oh man, there's so many good things about this movie. The action is absolutely fantastic. The beach sequence on Scariff is phenomenal. Like that is one of the coolest land battles we ever get in Star Wars. And then the space combat. You guys know how much I love space battles. This is amazing. This is like the best space battle I think we get in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like ever.
Really gritty.
It's so cool. It's like you were mentioning, Anders, before with the shield gate, when the X-Wings are going down and like they have to pull up and crash against it. It looks amazing. I love everything about that final half. Like that, the ending segment is just amazing. Everything to do with Scariff, great. I like that we get this more nuanced look with the rebels. So we see that they are doing some very morally gray things. They're assassins and they're saboteurs. And we start the movie with Cassian gunning down his informant because, well, only one of you are going to get away.
Anyone else do the sharp intake when you saw that the first time?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like,
This is
it's
some
not what
serious
you
stuff.
expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he had the leather jacket and that look of he's coded to look like the rebel good guys that we know. And so when he does something that we don't expect from a rebel, it was very shocking. And speaking of Cassian, Diego Luna, my God, he is wonderful in this movie.
Yes, he is.
He's so good. He's got so much charisma. I loved his character. I cannot wait for his show. And also, I thought it was so wonderful because he was so excited in the lead up to this movie that he got to have his real just Mexican accent on screen.
Yes.
And he just got to be in Star Wars as he was. And that was very special for Diego Luna. And I love that. So I know that it meant a lot to people and I wanted to shout that out because just Diego Luna, I love you. You're amazing.
He's fantastic.
And then we already talked about how much K2SO is just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
We do need to talk about Krennic because my word.
We do need to talk about Krennic because Thrawn hates him.
Oh, and I love that. I love that so much. That sassy little bastard gets a cape just because he wants to be fancy.
Yep.
Yes.
Krennic, come on.
No capes.
No capes. I mean,
unless you're
Ben
Vader.
Mendelsohn, take a bow. Ben Mendelsohn was so perfectly cast for this.
Oh yeah. Oh god, when he's just berating the guys on Scariff, no, get the garrison. What is wrong with you people?
Are we blind?
He's
so good.
I love that he starts out too with Galen. He's kind of charming. It kind of looks like they were friends and they have this rapport and this relationship, and then he turns on a dime. And you're like, oh no.
He's always just been a slimy little snake just waiting.
I do love that line of sass where Galen's wife is like, you're not taking him. And he's like, of course not. I'm taking all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, there's Lyra back from the dead. Oh my gosh. He's just, Ben Mendelsohn was so well cast. This whole movie is so well cast.
He also calls Jin an it. It's like, they have a child. Find it.
Find it.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Harsh.
God, Krennic, you suck. And then I love after he gets choked out by Vader, he has that look on his face he didn't kill me. Oh, okay. I guess I still get my Death Star. God, grow up. You suck.
He's still too
Krennic.
important to the project to kill yet.
Yeah, he's like, ooh, look at me. I guess I'm cool.
But is he though
Oh,
really? Like, what did
No.
he really do?
I mean, he's mostly just the driving force behind it. I think he's an engineer, but he's not as talented as
not-
He's
That's
the
why he had to
boss
get Galen.
that employs
Yeah.
the right people and then
Yeah.
takes all the credit.
Yes, exactly. The
Except for
worst
Tarkin.
fucking manager.
We're
of all
standing
time.
here against my achievements. Are they
Yeah.
really yours though?
Yeah,
Because did you build it?
Yeah, Tarkin doesn't like him either.
Right. Oh my
'Cause
gosh.
nobody likes him.
Yeah, no,
Tarkin
like-
taking Krennic down to task on that bridge was just beautiful chef's kiss. I want to rewatch that scene again and again. So I mean, I think we can all tell I love this movie a lot. I don't really have anything unbearable. It's more of like constructive criticism.
Mhm.
I know there's a lot to set up in the opening act. We jump around a lot, and it's a real testament to the editors that they made it as seamless as they did.
Mhm.
I just wish, it was like what, a 2-hour, 10-minute film?
Just
Give us
about,
maybe
yeah.
10, 15 minutes more to flesh out the time between Jen and Saw,
Mhm.
because we don't really get any scenes between them until they meet up again on Jeddah. And it's like, I'd like
Yeah.
a little bit more of that history. I'd like to know a little bit more about Galen. Like he's intriguing as is in the movie, but I wanted a little bit more from Saw and Galen.
Mhm. I think they were relying on casting a lot there.
Yeah,
Because Forrest Whitaker and Mads Mikkelsen just do incredible work, and people know who they are. And they
exactly.
expect a performance out of them, so you get so much nuance just from them as an actor coming in and playing a character. I think
Yep.
they leaned a little too heavily into that.
Yeah. If we had to cut anything for time to give it towards Saw and Galen, maybe cut or goal it. But I mean, it's fine. I still like it.
How could
It's
you
a
take
goofy
away
alien.
Forrest Whitaker yelling, "Book on it"?
Or goal it. Lies. Deception.
That was one of my unbearables. It was so
You
uncomfortable.
come here to kill me? God, I love Forrest Whitaker.
He
Yeah.
brings
so
it
good in
so
this.
hard
cast
in
in
this
this-
movie.
The cast in this movie is just
my gosh.
unparalleled. I gotta
Yeah.
give a shout out now to Riz Ahmed as Bodhi.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god, he turns in such a great performance. I think this is the first thing I saw him in.
Yeah.
I think so
Um,
for me too.
Pretty soon after might have been when I saw The Night Of, and I
Yeah,
started
Night
seeing
Of.
some of his other stuff. He's got that like fidgety, nervous thing. He's totally in over his head,
Mhm.
but then
Mhm.
he also turns up and he's so brave at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's such a Hufflepuff. Like he's
His-
such a puff. I love him.
Oh.
His death might have been the one that actually like really shook me the first time I saw it. Like I think we
Yeah.
lose we
Yes.
lose K2 first, and then you're like kind of shook from that, and then Bodhi's in there and the ship blows up.
Yeah.
And he had just had that whole like rousing moment of getting the troops to follow him and all that. And
Yeah.
and it's so quick. It's just prime the grenade, throw it in. He gets a moment to look at it. Boom.
Yeah.
Also a pretty
Oh my
powerful
gosh.
grenade. That thing like blew up the entire ship.
Yeah, that was
Insane.
that was a large grenade, but
That's some good ordnance there from the Empire.
for once.
Right. Okay.
man.
I'll go into my untouchables. Daniel, I think you wanted to say something about the ending too of the
Oh
movie.
god, just I mean, you're about
This
to
is
talk
one of
about
my
it, so
untouchables too.
Yeah.
let's get into it.
The ending. Holy shit, guys.
So good. One of my untouchables.
Vader's a
is Walt Colleen.
monster.
Vader's hallway scene. Yes.
And I think
I'm
this is
gonna
one of
let
this is
Sarah
one of
talk
the
more about it, but scary as fuck.
it's one of the new scenes. It's one of the ones that they added during the reshoots, I'm pretty sure. And
So
thank God
important.
they did.
Yeah, amazing. No notes. It's perfection. It makes you feel like you're in a horror movie. Like all of a sudden you're in a war movie. And then it's like, oh no, this is what the movie really is. This is like the horror show that we have brought you to. Welcome to the rebellion.
Yeah.
Pray that Vader never finds you, because this is what's going to happen. The casting, it's all great. I love Forrest Whitaker. Over the top, fabulous. I love Mads Mikkelsen so much. Every movie he's in, I'm always impressed by him. It's good to see him not be a villain.
I was actually just
Yeah.
thinking that. I was like, I'm trying to think of the last movie I saw him in where he's not a
Yeah.
villain.
A villain, or at least slightly antagonistic or slightly villainous.
Hannibal
he's-
Lecter
he is
counts as a
Hannibal.
villain.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he
is
does.
not. He is not an anti-villain. He is a full villain.
Yes.
Hannibal Lecter, yeah. But also so sexy. Damn it. If villain, why sexy? Why?
Exactly.
All right, my next one is I am one with the Force and the Force is with me. I love this line. I know that it's emotionally manipulative and I don't care.
Yeah.
That's why it's one of my unbearables. I can't stand it. I
Yes,
cannot stand it.
Oh, when it comes up again
I
in
was
Clone Wars
waiting.
seasons, when it comes up again in Clone Wars season 7, and it's
Oh,
Ahsoka.
I
Oh
am
my God.
sobbing.
Yeah,
Sobbing when
I-
Rex says it back. I'm like, well, I'm done. I'm just gonna pack up and leave now.
I
I
was
liked it.
fully bought in.
No, in the movie, as soon as that happened, it took me right out of the movie. I said, this is pandering with the capital P, and I am not here for it.
Oh,
Oh,
so
ate it up.
good. I ate it up.
hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was sitting there going, they know what they're doing and I don't care.
And that's what I mean. It took me right out of the movie, right out
And
of it.
it
Zip zap
definitely-
soup.
Definitely can. That kind of thing. It's like you're hitting hard with that kind of line, especially from that kind of character.
Right.
So it was definitely a gamble to put it in there. I think it works much better in Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah.
because it's Ahsoka and Rex and their relationship is so strong. You spent so much time with them.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that Clone Wars moment hits.
I like it with,
hard.
but I love it with Chirrut though, because the fact that
sensitive.
he's not Jedi level force sensitive. He's got to be at least partially.
Yeah, he's got a high
There's no way
midichlorian
he fights the way he does, and he's not at least partially force sensitive.
He'd have some, like, not enough to be picked up by the Jedi, but maybe enough for them to be like, you've got something, we're going to put you on Jedha to be one of the Guardians of the Wills. Like, you have enough where you can do stuff.
Enough. He's got like Maz Kanata levels of force sensitivity.
B squad force user.
B squad,
Yeah.
but
There we go.
having
Yeah.
him show off his faith in that way. And that type of a sequence, I'm a
was
sucker.
interesting
I'm a
to
sucker
get-
for it.
Yeah, interesting to get the Force as a faith, as a religion, as opposed to just this kind of esoteric thing that the Jedi and the Sith are all about. This is more like a practicing religious order that he's bound to, which I love. I love that Jyn has the Kyber crystal. She also, I think, has some at least force sensitivity / high midichlorian count. And it's like, oh, there are other people out there. She's just like a normal person that happens to have this affinity for the force. Here we go, Daniel.
Yep.
I love the relationship between Chirrut and Baze.
They're so gay.
Definitely gay. Gay. I don't care.
They're so gay and I
they
love
may
it.
be gay coded. Like, yes, it's more of a thing for them to gay code characters instead of outright saying that they're in a relationship.
Yep.
You're not going to change my mind. They are in love, and Baze is always following him around, being like, good Lord, why did I ever start this with you?
And Chirrut just shouts back, "'Cause you love me."
Yep. He's like, you're going to follow me no matter what, so here I go. Do. I'm blind, remember? Oh, that's another untouchable when he says, why are you putting the bag
Are you
over my
serious?
head?
I'm blind.
Oh my god. Oh, that may be one of the funniest parts of the entire movie. I'm blind, can't you freaking tell? Those two, I love it. Their final scenes are so epic and so devastating. Just because they're more normal people. And they're just trying to do one little thing, like move a switch and make sure that your lover can move the switch. Like, it's very...
Oh, God. And then Baze inverts the line. He does. He starts with, "The Force is with me, and I am one with the Force."
Yes. But they're not gay.
Yes, they are.
Whatever.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah,
they are. Whatever fandom. They are so a couple, and you cannot change our minds. Okay, so Unbearables, almost none. I do wish, like, you guys, we'd gotten a little bit more of Saw and Jin's life with Saw, because she was supposed to be more of a terrorist character in the beginning, in the initial scripts, and then Disney was like, we have to make her a little more likable. We can't quite show the terrorist part of her life, but I wish we got that, because it seems like she flips pretty quickly from jaded, I don't want to be here, you're making me be here, to we have to rebel and we have to take down the Empire. I thought that was a little quick, but I obviously am fine with it because I love this movie. But if I had to find a criticism, I think that's the one.
Yep.
That I would go for.
Well, we've talked about some of my untouchables and unbearables, so let's get straight to it. I, first and foremost, the first few seconds, loved how the opening is different. This isn't a saga movie. There's no crawler. We get straight to the action. Like Star Wars was known for getting straight to the action. This even went even further going straight to the action. You know what I mean? It just gets straight there. I absolutely adore the landscapes, and we talked about the CGI on Leia and Tarkin, phenomenal. One of my favorite lines of K2 is, "Congratulations, you are being rescued. Please do not resist." So good. During one of the war scenes, I love that Jin saved the crying child. I was so concerned that kid was just going to end up crying all alone, because you see that in so many different movies, just so that you understand how dangerous and scary and yada yada the whole thing is. But Jin goes out there and actually saves the child, which I thought was phenomenal. And then of course Vader wrecking havoc at the end is chef's kiss. When it goes to the unbearables, besides the tragic line, "I am the Force as the Force is with me."
So wait, Sarah, can you clarify what you don't like about that line? Like, I think I got a sense of it, but I just a little curious.
I very much like the line and the sentiment, but how it was delivered, packaged, and then repackaged at least twice in the movie, maybe 3 different times. Each of the times, it did not feel natural to me. I did not believe that the character literally would have said it, how they said it, when they said it.
Okay.
To me, it was, as I said before, total pandering. That's all that it offered to me. And I was not here to be pandered by. Like, I am already going to rewatch this movie 3 times in theaters. You do not need to pander to me. I think maybe our critiques largely stemmed to Saw Gerrera, and it just seemed like things were kind of off. I didn't appreciate how he just resigned himself to die. Again, right. It seems kind of like we're presenting Saw Gerrera because Saw Gerrera needs to be a part of this. We're going to try and smash you over the head with this being a realistic relationship and being a realistic character. But it just kind of became a caricature in a way.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so it just needed a little bit more massaging. I mean, Saw Gerrera was a fantastic character, and you could believe that the actor was that individual. It just wasn't enough. There just was not enough.
Well, like you said, resigning himself to death, he's got all those prosthetics. He obviously is not wanting to die.
Yeah, it just that just completely avoided belief entirely. It was just a way to get him off the chessboard, and that was frustrating to me. And then, we could have used some of that time that the last half of the movie really stretched out that battle scene. Daniel, I know you love the battle scene, but it was just kind of like Star Wars.
I get it.
Yeah, it was just too long. It was fantastic. I loved it. We're looking for areas to critique. I would have much preferred using some of that time to bolster Saw and Jin's relationship and who Saw was than seeing more ships explode up in space.
That is a completely understandable take. And yeah, I agree with you. As much as I love my space battles and I love that war scene, some little bit more time to let Saw marinate so we really kind of understand that character. We understand why he would feel the need to give up at the end. Yeah, give me a little bit more time with him. If I have to sacrifice a bit of X-Wings doing their awesome things, then yeah, so be it.
Yep.
All right. Before we move into our next section, I do have a couple last minute things I want to shout out that we just haven't really touched on yet. Number one, an untouchable, actually, we've hinted at it throughout the whole thing. For me, an untouchable is the fact that they all die.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, I mean, Disney is usually one to pull the punches. It's not usually willing to kind of go there. And the fact that they were just like, no, absolutely, let them all die. Everybody's dead.
I did not expect that from Disney at all.
My
brother and I going in thought, okay, at least half of them are going to survive. Nope.
No,
Nope.
not even the droid.
Not even the
The
droid. Oh, just stab me right in the heart. Where he's just like, goodbye. Oh, and then Cassian's reaction to him locking the vault, and he's so devastated that he lost Kay.
Yes.
And then a couple other cast members, again, that I just love the fact that they brought in. My guy, Jimmy Smits. Absolutely.
Yes.
Cast Jimmy Smits and everything again.
Yes.
Bail Organa. He never do wrong with Bail Organa.
You never do wrong with Bail Organa. And then bringing back Genevieve O'Reilly to play Mon Mothma after she was basically cut entirely from Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Perfect
such a
casting.
shame because her scene was really good and was needed.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Everything she was in was pretty crucial to the Revenge of the Sith. Would have made it a better movie. All right, so I did have a question kind of coming out of this movie. And, we've hinted at it with kind of what we wanted to see out of the Saw relationship with Jin. But are there other stories other than Rogue 2, a Bothan story, that have
I do want that.
I know,
Fucking
I do
poor
too.
Perspelia. Yes, bring him on screen for me to yell at.
But
please.
like stories that have been specifically referenced. I mean, this entire movie is born out of a single line in the Star Wars opening crawl.
Mm-hmm.
So stories that have been specifically referenced or referred to that you guys really, really want to see outside of what's been officially announced. So
I want to see more of the trade negotiations and tax credits and things like that. I find that to be really compelling.
Give us the Rush Clovis story.
Rush Clovis story. I don't know, but I could use like some kind of a political spy thriller centered on like Dooku and Ventress recruiting the original Separatist
Ooh.
Council, like to
I could
set
dig
up
that.
Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
I think would be really cool.
That'd be amazing. I mean, obviously, I want whatever the fuck Ezra and Thrawn are up to.
I said stuff that
Yes.
hasn't already been announced. Ahsoka counts as that.
I mean,
How
we
about-
don't know. We don't know that Thrawn and Ezra are going to be in it though yet.
How about Satine and Obi-Wan sexcapades?
Yes.
Down with that.
I thought
Yes.
about pre-qualifying this.
yeah.
That said
Yes.
that's a given. Let's go beyond
Yeah,
Satine and Obi-Wan,
absolutely.
especially because Kenobi is a series. We don't know it's not happening in the flashbacks.
So I would love to see some Darth Maul pre-Phantom Menace. Like I would love
Yeah.
to see his days as a Sith assassin going out. Like let's get some of those stories brought into canon. I want to see it.
How he was trained is awful. So yes,
Oh,
let's bring on the
so
child
much. Yeah.
abuse show. It's so bad, you guys. Palpatine is an asshole.
He
So
really
is.
is.
I hope we get Plagueis. I think we will get some sort of thing. Maybe the Acolyte is going to be about that, Plagueis and Palpatine's relationship, because that's really intriguing and cool. I'd love to see Luke's Jedi Academy.
Yeah.
There was a
Yeah.
huge rumor that Brie Larson had been cast as
Mara
Mara
Jade.
Jade, which I would
Huh.
love to see.
I don't want to
Please,
see. I
Mara
don't want to
Jade.
see that one. I want to see Mara
I love
Jade.
it.
I don't want Brie
Yes.
Larson to do it though, just because she's so set as Captain Marvel in my mind.
It would
I
be
want to give another actress
big
a
for her.
chance.
But yeah, I
be
always
huge
saw
for her.
Jessica Chastain as being more Mara Jade
Mhm.
than
Oh, that's a
Brie
great
Larson.
casting idea.
I would love her to just swoop in and be like, "What's up, farm boy?" And Luke's like, "Oh my."
Directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes, please. Yeah, just keep bringing the gingers in. Just be like, "Oh, we've cast all of these people and everyone in our crew is redhead." All right. Yes, I'm here for it. Bring it on. Mara Jade, give us the magenta freaking lightsaber now, please.
Oh,
I'd love
yeah.
to see, even if it's just a series of shorts, I'd love to see like the Inquisitor Academy, like recruiting the
no, you
Inquisitor.
don't.
Ooh, yeah.
We don't want to see that.
I love
More
the dark side
reviews.
stuff, Colleen.
I mean, it's just a lot of Vader chopping off limbs and gouging out eyes.
Gross.
Being a
Hey, do you want to
dick.
learn the dark side? Come here. I'm going to cut your foot off.
It's like the freaking Gordon Ramsay of the dark side over here. For real. Like they try not to kill him and he's like, "You didn't try to kill me and now I'm going to chop off your hand." Like, oh my God. You're behaving too much like Jedi. Like, well, they were. Good Lord.
Most of them were.
Mhm.
All right. So speaking of kind of expanding the universe, expanding the world, how does this movie build on what came before it? How does this movie specifically build this franchise? And I think one of the biggest ones is those Death Troopers and seeing just a little bit more of the Imperial hierarchy. On this last full rewatch of the original trilogy, I'm astounded at how like little backstabbing and undermining among the officers there is. And here we finally get to start to see that the whole dynamic between Krennic and Tarkin going, rushing to Vader, hoping that Daddy's gonna bail you out, and he just does nothing except slap you down. And then those Death Troopers, finally some stormtroopers with good aim. They have very powerful blasters, and that armor looks sleek as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they look so cool.
Have to bring the Death Troopers to collect Galen Erso and his wife and child. Like, that's a flex.
Well, he's
Krennic
drama
is
queen.
Nothing but dramatic. Yeah,
That's true. Very true.
Daniel, speaking of dramatic.
Oh, Mr. Dramatic's fortress itself. So we get to see Vader's Mustafar fortress. So it's the place where Vader lost the very last parts of Anakin Skywalker.
Literally and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively. And it's now become his base of operations. And, in true drama queen fashion, he's like, let's build a castle. I'm going to have my own, room with a giant vista overlooking the lava. Just...
So spa.
Yeah, and then let me force choke you as I make a dad pun, which to everyone who got upset about that dad pun, Vader makes little quips and jokes all throughout the original trilogy.
Absolutely.
I thought that was perfect. It was so funny to me, and I just loved watching him choke out Krennic because I was like, yeah, you deserve that, Krennic. You suck.
He's Anakin was funny, so you have a little bit of Anakin coming out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Usually when he's choking you, but that's fine.
It's when he's having fun.
I mean, when we first meet him, he's like, oh, really? Well, then where's the damn ambassador?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we love you, Captain Antilles. Okay, Speaking of Captain Antilles, we see the fragility of the Rebel Alliance. Mon Mothma is talking about the support of the Council and how so many of them are unwilling to strike out in an open war with the Empire. Which is fair. It's the Empire. The rebellion is not that big.
Yeah. It's fair, but it was a little mind-blowing to me, I think, the first time I saw this, when I really realized how we are leading directly into A New Hope.
Yes.
And so
how fractured they are.
How fractured they are, because we always think of them as this alliance together that by this point, at least, are kind of willing to go with it. And they really aren't at this point. I do love, I love the little smile on Mon Mothma's face when they tell her that that Raddus has just taken his ship and gone.
Yep.
Oh no. What will we do with him? Nothing, because we need his ships.
Oh my god.
Although losing Raddus really was a blow to the rebellion.
Yeah.
But they needed the plans.
We have gone all this time and we have not mentioned one of the best Easter eggs that we get while on Yavin 4 when they call for General Syndulla.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And you get that one shot of Chopper.
Yes. That completely went over my head when I first saw it. And now when I go back and watch this movie, I get so giddy. I'm like, I know what that means.
You're like,
I know her.
Yeah, I know her now. And she's a general, and you're like, my heart.
You know what? Rest in peace, Raddus. We love you, but at least we know General Syndulla's out there.
Yes.
Yeah, she is. She's such a badass, too. Love her.
All right. So moving into our next segment, what does this film tell us about the Force and Force abilities? Now, this is a pretty unique film of all the ones we've talked about so far because there are no Jedi in this film.
Yeah.
Nope.
We do get Vader and as a Sith, but we don't really spend a lot of time with him or learn much about him. But this movie does still expand our understanding of what the Force is and kind of how the galaxy perceives it.
Mm-hmm. The Guardians of the Whills, we've talked about these guys before on Bohemian Geeks Studies. They have been in George Lucas's head since he created Star Wars. Originally, he thought of the story as being read in the distant future, hence the a long time ago, far, far away. From the Journal of the Whills, these immortal beings that eventually morphed into the concept of the Force. You can actually see some of this happening in Clone Wars as well.
Yes. And I think this is Colleen, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first on-screen live-action mention of kyber crystals and kyber. They play a very central role in this movie.
Yes, it is. Woo!
Mhm.
Research time, guys. So according to Wikipedia, canon kyber crystals were first seen on screen in the Clone Wars, season 5 episode The Gathering, and then they were called kyber in the Clone Wars. That's from 2012. Rogue One is the first live action. But then, of course, in Legends, you have kyber crystals all over the damn place.
Yeah.
And they are the best crystals for lightsabers, but Luke says that other types can be used as well.
Yeah, in Master and Apprentice, the novel, we do see a lightsaber use a non-kyber crystal, one it's very similar. It's called a Colleen, but it's not quite as powerful.
Ah, yes, the fool's gold.
Yes.
Next up, we've got Jeddah, and this used to be an important Jedi site and a location important to Force users. We see the Empire's willingness to destroy such an important site. Seeing the Guardians in Jeddah also reinforces the idea that Jedi traditions as a religion.
Yes, and I do believe...
I was going
to say, I think Jeddah is, along with Acto, it was like on Luke's list of places to search for the original quote-unquote Jedi temple. It's one of the candidates. Coruscant, Acto, and I'm totally blanking on the name, but we go there in Mandalorian.
From Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be in the core, and yet somehow they're in the freaking outer rim, and they get there, everything's fine.
Is it Tython?
Tython.
Yeah. I also like we see Jen with her kyber crystal necklace, how she's kind of holding it for good luck as they go through the shield gate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't explicitly say it, but I like to think that, you know, there's a little something going on there with the
definitely.
Force in that moment. Yeah.
I'd like to think that particular kyber crystal has had some kind of a bond with her mother and then with her.
Yeah.
A little bit looser than, you know, a Jedi getting his crystal for a lightsaber, but still a bond is formed there.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, Jin's mom telling her trust in the Force, like this, they are not Jedi, they are not Sith, but they are still followers in some way.
Mm-hmm. And friends of
All
Saw
it takes to
Gerrera.
know.
And friends of Saw Gerrera.
Saw's just everywhere, you guys.
Oh.
All right. Well, guys, I think that is going to wrap up our conversation for today. But before we go, we are going to, as always, give you our recommendations for other content you may love if you liked Rogue One. Sarah, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'm going to start us off with Captain Obvious. If you haven't already, because we've been shoving it down your throats, please, please, please do yourself, not us, do yourself the favor of watching Rebels. It is absolutely fantastic. It is 4 seasons long. And frankly, like wine, it only gets better with time. So enjoy, enjoy, enjoy.
Yes. It's one of those shows that rewards a rewatch. You see all the narrative threads and how well Dave Filoni and his team wove the entire show together. It's just fantastic. I agree, Sarah, wholeheartedly. Rebels, watch Rebels. Everyone, just do it now.
We can't say it enough.
Yeah, we can't. I mean, we say it every show because.
And check us out on Bohemian Geek Studies, where we're recapping all of it.
Mm-hmm. And we're there with Flo watching it for the first time.
Yep.
Which is also fantastic. I've got 2 today. I have one that's really sad. Well, they're both kind of sad. Dang it. Things that I love that also make me cry. So the first one is Handmaid's Tale. It's got
that's a bold choice.
Oh, I love it.
That's a bold choice.
I love
That's a
it
dark,
so
bold
much.
choice.
So dark, so dark. Rebellion, terrorism, dystopian dictatorship nightmare. Yep, sign me up, I guess. All right. Please watch the TV show. Fantastic. Love it. It's on Hulu.
The last few episodes, the last like 2 or 3 episodes that have come out in season 4
I'm
have
not
been
caught up.
so good.
I haven't watched the new stuff. I'm too nervous about it.
I know, I just from the book, because once it departs from the book, I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? Definitely read the novel by Margaret Atwood. Not a lot of happy endings happening in the show or the book, but it's still a beautifully haunting story about what could happen if an ultra conservative regime rose to power and took over. And oh my God, were we almost there? So close, you guys. Maybe a little too close to home
Yeah,
Too close.
I'm a little
When it-
too uncomfortable.
when it first came out. And I mean, now we feel
Yeah.
a little better, but we're still hoping that it doesn't turn into that. V for Vendetta would also be another good choice for that
Ooh,
kind
I
of
love
genre.
I love V for Vendetta.
Both the
Yep.
movie and the graphic novel by Alan Moore. Definitely would suggest that. Yay, dystopian conservative nightmare. Here we come. And then the next one is one of my favorite things that I have ever consumed. Guaranteed to make you cry. I cry every single time. Check out the Saga graphic novel comics collections, written by Brian K. Vaughan and illustrated stunningly by Fiona Staples. It's a space opera with some sex. Sarah, finally.
Nice.
Fucking finally. People are actually having sex in space, guys. Loads of violence. So if you're a little not great into blood and guts and gore, probably steer clear. But it's so well written. Beautiful, beautiful story. The characters are relatable and fascinating, even though most of them are not human. It's very easy to connect with them through the story. Lots of twists and turns. I mean, I was shocked pretty much the entire time I was reading it. It's mainly focusing on a star-crossed lovers relationship between two warring planets, and they get together and have a child. And so the entire galaxy / universe is now after them because of this relationship. And this war is like Star Wars, except it's bigger. I mean, the two planets who are warring have basically like loaned out their war. They don't war on each other's planets anymore. It's on every single other planet in the galaxy
Oh no.
Damn.
instead of their planet. It's just fantastic. There's bounty hunters. There's like these investigative journalists that are happening. The little girl, the baby, Hazel, is a delight. Please check out Saga. Love it.
Oh man. That sounds really good. I want
Really
to
good.
read that so bad.
Warning,
on
it
my-
is not
it's-
finished. Big warning,
Oh,
not
okay.
finished.
Good to know. Good to know. So I have only one thing that I can recommend this week. It is for all the gamers out there, Halo Reach. So it is the Rogue One of the Halo universe. So you're the newest member of a team, and they're called Noble Team. So you're going around and trying to defend your planet as it is being invaded by the evil Covenant Empire. And they're just ravaging the planet, and it's just slowly you losing the entire game. You just go from loss to loss, and you lose your entire squad. You have to watch all of them die in front of you, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. And then you are the last surviving member of the team, and you're the one who hands off the package to like this crew that gets away, and they fly off to safety, and you're left behind to cover their exit. And you give them you give them the package that has an AI in it, which is the AI that wins the war. So basically, it is the Rogue One of Star Wars.
One.
Yeah.
Wait, you give
and-
them, is that Cortana?
Yep.
You give them Cortana.
Your character delivers Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn, which then goes off and does it the rest of Halo.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. It's a wild plot. The very end of the game is your character being murdered by an entire swarm of aliens, like descending on your location. So, yay, something I love that depresses me. Yeah, it's just a lot of themes of fighting impossible odds and loss, and yeah, it's just
Perseverance.
yeah, it's all just about the real brutality of war, and it's Rogue One. So yeah.
wow. All right. Well, for me, as always, I recommend the novelization of the movie. In this case, it's written by Alexander Freed. Not quite as much like additional content in this one as some of the other novels, but his writing on it is just so well done. The description of everything, all of the stuff about Scariff, and all the landscape descriptions on all the different planets are very, very good. That scene where Cassian like shows Jin all the people that are willing to go fight with them, so good. If you want some extra content, though, I would definitely recommend you check out Catalysts by James Luceno. This is the prequel to Rogue One. This is the story. We see a little bit of it in the flashbacks with like Jin and her family back on Coruscant. So this is the story of how Galen originally got involved in the project and his relationship with Krennic during the last days of the Republic and into the initial days of the Empire, how he sort of became disillusioned with what they were doing, how they got connected with Saw Gerrera in the first place, and how they ultimately ended up on that farm to start this movie. It's very, very cool.
He's
very
a very
well
dense
done.
writer too.
Yes.
His prose is very dense, but it's usually enjoyable.
Yes. And then my last one, just because I happened to watch this like last night, if you're just like Rogue One, if you're interested in a good spin-off movie, check out Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw. Absolutely ridiculous, absolutely ludicrous, bonkers movie, but so good.
I'm gonna say something controversial. I have never seen a Fast and Furious movie.
What?
So for the longest time, I've
seen two.
For the longest time, I had seen the first one a few times, and I had seen the fourth one like once, and I was just like, I'm out, I'm done. But in the last like month or so, I've gone back and watched all of them, plus Spy Racers on Netflix.
Oh man. Well, you know what? I eventually I'll dive into them. I know one day it's just gonna happen, and then I'm gonna end up loving and watching all of them because I can't help. If I watch one, I'm gonna watch all of it.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, on that note, y'all, thank you for joining us today. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at YASWpod. Follow us wherever you get your podcast and leave us those 5-star reviews. Check out all the offerings in the Forgotten Entertainment family at forgottenentertainment.com. You can also find Anders, Sarah, and Colleen on the Bohemian Geeks Studies podcast, where they are currently diving into Star Wars Rebels. We cannot mention it enough. You can also find Colleen's Star Wars book reviews on bohemiangeekstudies.com. So tune in next time. We're going to be examining the complexities of droid-human relationships when we discuss Solo, a Star Wars story.
Hey, it works.
It works.
L3 for the win.
Can't wait to find out how.